So in yesterday's class, we have seen what Revit is and what BIM is, and also we've seen introduction to Revit, what is the ribbon in Revit, and also how do we set up the datum elements, especially the in the elevation, the floors, and we have seen what project properties bar are, project browser, and also the modeling browser. We have seen just a beginning of wall. That's it. Now let us continue from here. So in today's session, we are going to cover the types of wall, door placement, window placement, grids, and if time permits, grids and columns. We'll do that also. So let's quickly move into the software. So I'll just close it again. I'll just open once again so that you can see. I'll just close everything. So same as in AutoCAD, you have to have a template and you have to open that particular template to work on in Revit. So what is a template? A template contains all the default settings that we are going to work on, like units and also the families and also all the settings related to our project, which the project manager will assign to us. So in AutoCAD, there is no particular standard template. We'll just work on ACAD, that is sufficient. But in Revit, you have to actually select the template because the template is not just a file. It has all the properties of our project, like the project location and the project variables, such as if you are having any parameters in this project, that will also be loaded. Also the units, also if at all any specific families that are used, those will also be loaded in our project. So we have to choose particular template or the defined template for our project. This will be decided by the project coordinator or BIM coordinator for our project. So here, since we are training, I'll just go for new. Here, there are multiple templates, but let me choose a default template or generic template, which has no particular setting, that is default metric. So that it will be easy for us to understand each and every topic. Then once we move to the project, we can choose whatever the template that is our job. Like say if you're from architectural discipline, you can go for our architectural template. If you're from services, you can go for system default or system default imperial or metric as per the units of your project. So this is what our drawing area is, and these are our elevations. And we've discussed yesterday, in order to create elevation, we have to always go for the elevation plan. Or sorry, if you want to create a new floor, you have to go for the elevation. So if you want to create any number of floors, or if you delete a floor, that is only possible if you go to the elevation. Then if you want to create new plan or new floor plan, you can go to the datum section. You can just click on levels. We have two types of possibilities to create level. One is just a manual method where we have to select the height. Other one is offset method where we can predefine the offset from the previous level and say, like say, for example, this is 4,000. If I want to offset the next level also to 4,000, I can select this pick line option, give the offset, and as soon as I go to any level, I have a dotted line representation showing the level. As soon as I click on this particular line, next level will be created. Like that, we can create both above or below. And one more thing we've discussed is this levels should always be in alphanumerical, because when you are creating multiple levels, what happens is this level will change. It will maybe change like ground level, first floor, second floor, like that. So here it will be normal, but here what it has is like it will be arranged as per the alphabetical order. So ground will come later than F, first floor. So first floor will be displayed over here and ground may be displayed over here. This will be confusing. So normally the best practice to start is we will number it with 0 or the numerical way, and then we will give the alphabets. So this way it's very easy. Even if you go downwards, say I am having a basement, then I can just go for level, create pick line, and give my offset of 4,000 same. Then as soon as I touch this particular point, pick line, touch this particular point, and just drag my mouse a bit without clicking. If you want to level this side, you have to just drag your mouse a bit upward. And if you want here, you can, it's already there, so you don't have to do that. I'm trying to do a level downwards. Just click here. Since we have given the nomenclature from the numerical, it will be easy for us if you travel downwards. For example, double click -0.1. So it's easy. Here we can see it's sorted as per the numericals. So it's easy for us when we create levels. And also this way we will understand in the floor plan itself without like as per the elevations. So if you are naming as per the alphabets, this will jumble and it will create a lot of confusion. So it's a best practice to name as per the numericals. So we have created levels, and let me go to level ground floor. So yesterday we have just seen the walls, and let me just create one more wall type. So we have seen a basic wall, how to take a wall, and here if you select this drop down, we have different types of wall categories. From this wall categories, I can choose any type of wall that I require in my project. Let's say you have 200 wall, you can just drag your wall like this. But what if your wall is 225 or 250 So you have 200 you have 225 masonry, which is not the requirement, my requirement. I want a generic 250 wall. So we have 200 and we have 300. Then let's say this is 200, right? Select the 200 again, go to edit type. Here, you can actually change the 200 wall into 300 by going to settings. The settings will be accessed via the structure. As soon as I hit structure, here we have the thickness as 200. I'll just change it to 250. Okay, hit apply, hit OK. Now this is changed to 250. Let's measure. Let's try to measure. How do we measure? How do we measure?
Dimension.
Yeah. Where will that be? So if you go to annotate, there are permanent dimensions. So do you know how many types of dimensions are there in Revit? There are two types of dimensions. That is, these are the permanent dimensions, whatever the dimensions you measure here. There is one more type of dimension that is called as temporary dimension. Like for example, we just wanted to measure, nothing but just measure. That dimension should not stay. Then you can say, select this. But if you observe here, the first wall which I have drawn is also been converted to 250. Why? Because when we edited here, this is what we have edited, right? The 200 wall. When we edited, we just edited the main structure or the main wall. So that is a mistake we should not do. Always remember, when you edit anything, make sure that you duplicate it. So my requirement right now is 250 wall. Then what I have to do is, I have to select this 200 wall, go to edit type. First thing you have to do is you have to duplicate. Then whatever that is there previously before that, like say wherever we have drawn 200 wall, will not be replaced. If you're just try to remember this point, if you're not duplicating this and straight away going to edit and changing the value over here, wherever your 200 wall will be there, that will be replaced with 250 or whatever the change is. So this is, excuse me. So this is the most important thing. Whatever the change we are doing, before changing, we have to duplicate it. So my requirement now is to change it to 250 wall. So the first thing I'm going to do is duplicate, change it to generic 250 Now I have changed. Then you have to go to structures now. and you have to give the 250 mm value. So I have created new type of wall. Let's see. Okay, I'll just come out of that command. You have to press escape or you have to press your cursor anywhere in the drawing area to come out of that particular command. Now I have to draw the 250 mm wall. First, let me select these two, delete it. Go to architecture, press wall, or WA is the shortcut for the wall. As soon as I hit WA, I have this wall properties. Now, if you select this drop down, you have your 200 mm wall and the 300 mm or 250 mm wall we just created. Let's check it. 200 mm wall, right? 250 mm wall. You can see I don't have to measure whether this particular wall is aligned with this or not. There is a dotted line representation. If this line is parallel to this line, we have a representation with this dotted line. So that makes our life easier. You don't have to verify. Now I'll just go to modify, select this measure between two references. This is a temporary dimension. You can see this is a 200 mm wall and just select it once more. This is a 250 mm wall. So that is how you are going to create something which is not here. Go to wall architecture. You can access any type of wall over here. And sometimes what happens is in our project, we have 2 to 3 different types of material in our particular wall. So let's say I have drawn this wall. So this wall has multiple layers. So how to check the layers? Just make it a realistic mode. Even if you put it in realistic mode, it is not visible because the top and bottom are attached, right? Then you have to go for 3D view and you have to make it realistic. Now I will see whatever the layers are there in this particular wall. So this is how the wall looks, right? The outside maybe of different layer, the inside maybe of different layer. So if you want to check this particular wall, select that, go to edit type. Now they have named it as CW 102, 150, 100p. This is a standard. This is a European standard actually to name this wall in this particular manner. If you don't like, we can change. Here you can see in this particular wall there is a finished layer, finished material that is of brick. That thickness is 102. Like that, they have composed this wall of several materials and they formed into one material. The finished layer is of 102 mm thickness. Thermal layer, they provide insulation to their buildings because the temperature may vary in winters. They'll be reaching in minus degrees, -5, -10 degrees. So they want the heat that is inside the buildings to retain. So they provide what you call insulation in their buildings. So these are the layers specific to that buildings. In India, we may not require this, but we may require multiple layers for a given wall. So right now we have drawn generic wall, right? Here, wall architecture. These are our generic walls, which has no layers. But if you want, you can create the layers here also. The same way, I'll go to edit type, just go to edit. And here there is only one structure, that is thickness of this particular thickness. You can just go to insert, then you have one more layer. Here, if you click on that particular structure, you can see what you are going to constitute for that particular layer. Like say your wall is of 250 mm and the 15 mm in the both sides may be of plastic material, right? If you want to add, you can add. The structure, you can just add. And the materials, if you this we'll discuss later in the later stage how you can add material, but that is where you add the material and you can give its thickness the same way. This is the main structure. So there should be something below this. So this is so we have created two structures, but we want this particular structure in between. So we can just go for down by selecting this particular structure. Select for down. Now we have two structures in between of the main structure. If your total wall thickness is 200, then what you can do is you can just make it as say 150, then 25 mm this side, 25 mm this side. Now our wall is having 3 layers. 25 mm of plaster in one side, 25 mm of plaster in another side. The main wall is which is brick of 150 mm. So this is how you are going to add structures to your particular wall type and then create. So first thing is you are going to define its function. If it's a boundary, you can just give boundary. If it's a finished layer, you can just give it a finished layer. And also you are going to mention the type of material that wall is, the thicknesses. After giving all your properties, hit OK. Now we are going to apply. That's it. So if I go to ground floor and select, select the wall architecture, 200 mm wall, I have 3 layers. So to verify that, and as soon as I go to realistic mode, if it's having any properties, we did not give any properties, so it's not visible over here, but this particular wall is of 3 layers. How do we know? Because we created this wall in 3 layers in our structure category here, 150, 25, and 25. So that is how we are going to create a wall with multiple layers or multiple thicknesses of different material. So this is for normal wall. And how do we do about the like what you call curtain walls or the walls with glass? So for that category, we are going to select this drop down again, go for wall architecture. If you come or scroll down here, we have 3 types of options to draw the glass wall. Glass wall in Revit is called as curtain wall because that is what the terminology they use in US. So we have 3 types of curtain walls possible to draw in Revit. One is plain curtain wall. Second one is exterior glazing. Third one is storefront. So here with plain sight, we may not notice what is the difference. So, but as soon as I go to 3D view, if I observe closely, I can see the difference, right? So this is plain curtain wall, which is a glass with no breakage or no cuttings. So the next one is external glazing wall. This particular wall has a break point where the glass is going to be joined, but it is not going to have any support. The third particular wall is the storefront wall, which has the joinings as well, where the wall is going to join. These are called mullions. This particular joint for any glass is going to be called as mullions. Now let's see how or what their settings are. Just please notify me if I'm going fast or if you are stuck somewhere. I'll try to repeat it. Okay. Wall architecture. So for most of the cases, the curtain walls are avoided because they are used when there is a high chance of customization. But for all other requirements, either exterior glazing or storefront is enough. Let me take storefront first. And this is also as normal wall is automated, which means like, for example, let me draw a wall over here. This is a storefront wall. Just click it here and just try to expand this. Like this. And as soon as I take a 90-degree turn, you can see there's a joint that is automated. If I go to 3D, you can see this joint. Okay, there is one more thing I have to tell. That is, you can rotate 2 types in Revit. One is object-oriented rotation, the other one is normal rotation. So the normal rotation may look like this, but if you're selecting any particular object and try to rotate, the rotation will take place with dependence of that particular object. So this is especially useful when you're having a large object or a big building and you want to take a base location or a particular point and rotate based on that point. So it's useful, like say, and if you select any particular point and try to uh, press shift and the center button of your mouse at the same time, you can rotate. If you want to rotate, you have to press shift and the center button of your mouse. And if you want to zoom, just try to scroll your mouse. And if you want to pan, just press the scroll wheel of your mouse and pan it anywhere. If you want to zoom in, zoom out, is the scroll wheel of your mouse. And if you want to just rotate, shift, and the scroll wheel of your mouse. This. And if you want to come back to your floor plan, just hit the floor plan twice, double click. So that is what a storefront is. Same for the storefront, all the settings are default here present. So let's draw a circular storefront. Wall architecture. So this is storefront, and I have a requirement of circular storefront or a radial storefront. I can just take this. You can see something like this, or I can just delete this storefront, this option. Like this. This is what a circular storefront look like. You might have seen something like this. So this is again 100% customizable. Let's see how this is customizable, like the type of glass and the type of mullion that is used, and all these things are customizable. But first, as in the case of normal wall, this wall also has to be like the properties can be controlled. Like you have to select all the wall, or you have to select this particular storefront glass panel, and say you want this wall to travel from ground floor to level 1. So the next level here is level 2. So it's going to ground floor to level 2 with a height of 4000 mm. Right? Let's check it. Here you can see going from ground floor to first floor with a height of 4000 mm. Now there is a differentiation. This particular mullion that is differentiating between top and bottom. We can change its orientation and size. How? Select the mullion first, then you have your storefront storefront class. Now you can see the cross section and horizontal vertical properties. These properties define how the particular storefront glass panel is going to look. And also, if you go to edit type, you can see the vertical mullions here are of rectangular and 50 by 150 mm. If you want to change its dimension or orientation of size, you can just select the different type. So let's check or change everything to circular. Now you can see, I'll hit OK and see, right? It's been changed to circular. If you want any customized profile, that can also be possible. You can load your customized profile in this particular location and have this orientation as per your requirement. And also, this is say 90 degrees, right? This orientation is. If you want to change that orientation, you can just give or change it over here. Horizontal grid and vertical grid. Where the break is happening is the justification. And also, you can go to edit type again. You can see the spacing is there right here. This spacing can be changed. The curtain panel type. So here we have the type of panel that is there. If you want to change that panel, select that panel and you can change it. If you have the customized panel and you want to create the panel of your own, you can select here and you can place it. And what is the type of joint that is there between these mullions can also be adjusted over here, right? And the spacing. So in the vertical grid, which is this direction, excuse me, is of 1524. Let's say you want it to 2500. You can change. See, the change has been done. So the same for horizontal, it's been 2500. If you want to change it to 2000, it's changed. So it's 100% customizable, and you can change as per your requirement. The size, type, dimension, the type of glass it is there, everything is customizable. This is also possible for individual mullion also. If you select any individual mullion, that can also be changed. So the orientation, type, size is also again customizable. But if you're going to take not the storefront glass, just the regular glass, and then if you want to convert that particular glass, like here, the curtain wall, this is a normal wall, normal curtain glass, which is clear, unbroken wall type. If you want to give customization to this, that is also possible by taking the curtain grids over here. And then select this grid or place wherever you want. You can just place it in a ground floor also. Like this is a grid, and you can just go to curtain grid, place wherever the distance you feel. This is a manual process part. So this is, you can place wherever you want that particular breakage point. Like this, go to 3D. So this is what in a horizontal direction, or now if you want to place it in vertical direction also, you can place wherever it is required for you. Once it's done, you want mullions, right? So for mullions, you can just go to this mullions option, and you can say all grid lines. If you want the mullions for all the grids, just go for select. Thus, you can create your customized storefront panel or the glass panel with the mullions also. Clear? Any doubts in this?
Yes, sir.
No? Yeah, tell me. You have any doubt?
No, sir. No, sir. Clear.
No, sir,
Okay,
clear.
okay. Oh, okay, okay. So that is what a storefront, and just if you try to practice, it will be like much more comfortable instead of just listening. You'll get to know why these things are there and what are the other options that are there. If you dig deeper in these options, there are multiple options that is possible, and also a lot of customization is also possible. So it's not possible to cover like every topic, but I'll just try to give a glance, and if you just practice by yourself, you will explore a lot more options that is in every department or every settings. So let's see one more option. So this is my wall. If I go to any view, plan view or elevation, this wall is visible like this, right? There are sometimes what happens is this wall, say our wall is in an exterior wall, which is exterior for our building, and this wall may have certain decorations. If this wall is, say, attached to a gate, right? This particular wall has certain decorations that can be achieved with wall sweeps and wall reveal. Let's see how wall sweeps are done. I'll just select wall sweep, and there is only one profile here, and you have to select or give the placement for your wall. That's it. The wall sweep is done. Here you can see. So sometimes in certain walls you can see there are external elements. So these are possible with the wall sweeps. And there is one more option, that is wall reveal. Wall reveal is also similar to wall sweep, but what happens is this will have a groove type of function, or the material will be removed from our wall, right? You might have seen these things, right? So these are mainly for decorative purposes, and especially if you're having a corner wall or the wall is external, these type of walls are used for decorative purposes or for aesthetic purposes. So we have two types for that. That is wall sweep and wall reveal. Wall sweep is you can create a external profile or external element for our wall, the basic wall. This is again customizable. If you can just select any wall sweep, go to edit type, and you can see the profile. Here, you can load any profile. How do you load the profile? That I'll explain once we are in the family section. Then first you have to create a profile. That profile can be then loaded here. So since in our project currently we have only one profile, that is why I'm able to apply only one profile. But as you can see, there is one more profile over here. This is other type of suite, which is not default. See, if I go to the side view, we can see more clearly. Like here, like this. This is a suite. This is reveal. Reveal is it is going to remove the material from our wall. Sweep is it's going to add material from our wall. That's a blind thing to remember. If you want to design these type of walls, you have to go for wall sweep and wall reveal. Okay. So mostly these are the concepts that are present in the wall. Wall architecture is a place where you have to go for normal walls or typical architectural walls. But for wall structure, it is especially designed for people dealing with the structural elements. If you're working in concrete, that too in the structures, you have to use this option. This is not for architectural plans. The wall structure is not for architectural plans. And wall by face is the people who are working in like unique shapes or the geometric models which are not of normal shapes. These are called masses, which are used for like modern buildings, which is not possible with the regular methods, like the picture shown here. Once we are in this massing section, we will see what wall by face is and where they are used. Okay. For now, try to remember what wall architecture is and how do we draw basic walls, and also in the basic walls, how do we edit the options and add the options and add multiple layers to our project. When we go to materials, I'll just explain how do we define materials and also give individual materials to individual layers of the walls also. There also we can explain, or we can come back again to see the walls. Okay, now let's move the second option, that is doors. Uh, for that, I'll just try to draw a wall like this here. So in AutoCAD, how do we draw a door? You have to select a line, and first thing is you have to take a rectangle, then you have to do something called door sweep, right? And then you have to place one more small rectangle that indicates our door. So here in Revit, the door sweep will be automatically present. Let's say you want to place a door in this particular wall, and the function of many architectural elements or many elements in Revit is like it is interdependent, which means if you want to place the door, you cannot place the door anywhere. You can see there is a error message over my cursor. As soon as the door is going to touch the wall, the door is being highlighted, which means the door is dependent on wall. The door is programmed in a way that it is always dependent on wall. You cannot place the door anywhere, like just like AutoCAD block, you cannot place the door anywhere. If you want to place the door, it should find a wall. As soon as I go to wall, you can see the door is being highlighted. I click, I can place that particular door. So this door can change its size, shape as per my requirement. So say for example, this is a 915 mm door. And for some reason, I don't want this door to 915 by 2134. I want this particular door to 07622 2032. As soon as I click this block to that block, that is this family to that family, that will be changed. Only this one will be changed. The others will not be changed. So that is the beauty of Revit. So I can go to 3D. As soon as I go to 3D, I have my presentation of this door. I'm putting my effort only once, but you can see I'm generating the view in 3D as well, especially for all the elements. Now, if I go to any elevation, there also the views are being generated. So I'm I've just placed the wall or doors in my floor plan. I am going to get the result in 3D as well as the elevations. Now this is my elevation, right? Let me change the position of the door in the elevation, right? Now let's see, or let's say I want to delete this door in the elevation. Let's go to floor plan and check it. The door is also gone in floor plan as well as 3D, which means even if I made some corrections, I don't have to repeat the corrections in all the plans and views. The corrections will also be updated simultaneously. Got it? So this is also one of the advantages of it. Here you have to do it only once. Wherever the change you're doing, you can just change it somewhere, whichever plan, whichever view you're working on, that will be directly reflected in all the plans as well as all the views. Okay. So if I want to change the type of door that is there, which is this is a single family. If I select this drop down, there are certain families that are inbuilt in this family, or the dimensions are going to change. What if I want a different type of door? Then I have to load that door in my project first. How do we load the door? Go for insert. Here, there is an option to load all the necessary families in our project. Families are nothing but blocks, but imagine them as a dynamic blocks. Here, if I have any I think the families are missing in my project, but I'll load them tomorrow, no problem. But this is the option. We will cover them in tomorrow's session. Let me load them first. Let me download, because when I install, they may not be properly installed, but that's not an issue. I can load them and show you tomorrow. But you get the idea, right? If you want to place anything that are predefined in Revit, you can just go to the option, particular option, and you can just select the size you want, and then go to edit type. Just place it. But what if this particular option which is there, this particular size is okay for you, but a slight change in dimension is what you require? Then you can just go to edit type here, give your proper dimensions. But as I've said earlier, you have to duplicate it first. If you're not duplicating, what happens is wherever we have placed this particular size will be replaced. So if you're changing the size, you can just like the size can be mentioned. Say if you're going to 2040, this is what your node dimension is. You can just name it over here. Okay. Now in the height, you can just give your new height, that is 40. Hit apply. Okay. So this height is being changed. So there is one more family 2030. There is one more family 2040. As per your requirement, you can select any of the door you want. The same goes for Windows. So there is a catalog of windows. Here right now, there are 3 types of windows. You can select any type of window that is satisfying your requirement. The window is also dependent on the wall. As soon as you hit the wall, you can select the particular type of orientation, place it. And for some reason, if you think the orientation is not right, click on the window again. You'll have this arrow keys. You can hit the arrow key and change the orientation. The same goes for our window as well. So this is our door suite, which means our door is going to open in this direction, right? If you want to have your door suite in the opposite direction, select this arrow key. And if you think the orientation itself is wrong, or the door should be in this part of the wall, select this arrow key. So you can change as per your requirement. So again, same for the windows. If you go to 3D view, you can see the window is there. Window has 2 heights, right? One is the height which it is being placed, or the level, and the next one is sill height. So sill height is important, and we know that the sill height of the door and the sill height of the window should be same. This can be adjusted over here. Say if you want to give say 1000, it's going to move. So likewise, you can go to any view, and this height we know by going to edit type. So there will be a height mentioned over here. So and 2040 is our height. If you minus 2040 with this particular window height, we know what is the sill height, right? That is how we are going to measure. Like for example, this is window, and you know the height of this window is 900. So 2040 minus 900 is our sill height. We can adjust the sill height by selecting this particular element and by giving the sill height over here and also its location. So let's say I have the same wall in next level also. I can copy. I can just drag like this so that this wall is moving into first floor. This is ground floor. If I want to go to first floor, that is level 2, this wall will be until next level. If I want to copy this wall to next floor, it's very easy. Just go to this copy to clipboard here, then go to paste, align to selected level. So for next level, that is ground floor, that is our first floor. Here you can observe, since we've discussed the both windows and doors are dependent on the wall at the beginning, right? So whatever that is there in the wall will also be copied. It will save us a lot of time. Say your building is having 10 floors. What you have to do is you have to do all the elements that are there in the first floor. If it is a typical apartment, you have to do it only for one floor and then go for this, just go to modify, select all the elements, Control A, or you can just select all the elements, go for modify, go for this copy to clipboard, paste, align to selected levels. So if you want to copy to all the next levels, select all the next levels, hit OK. So here I have to until level 2, right? Now I'll just select 3 and 4, hit OK. If I go to 3D, you can see it's going to copy seamlessly. It is also going to place wherever the point is there exactly upon that. So it saves us a lot of drafting time and modeling time. Because anyway, we are doing the repetitive tasks. For those repetitive tasks, this copy and paste is very vital and also is going to be helpful for us in like saving the time and also saving the repetitive work. Okay, so that is there are multiple doors and windows that are in our project, but if you think these doors are not sufficient or these windows are not sufficient in our project, you can just download the Revit families online. Say, for example, I want to download doors. If I go to a simple search, there are multiple families, multiple websites. Like say, this BIM objects is one of the what you call best website to download the doors for our project. You can choose the door from the catalog. There are multiple catalogs. Like say, if you like this door, hit download. You have to sign up. Let's say, let's download something which you don't have to sign up. So you have to sign in, but so you get the idea, right? You have to sign in, just download. And how do we access that? Just go to insert, load family. Wherever your download is there, just load that particular thing. It will be there in a project. Most of the families are not loaded in our project by default because our project size will be increased. So generally, this particular work, what we've done for this only, the file size will be like 5 MB, 6 MB, like that. If you are loading all the unnecessary blocks or families in your project, the file size will become much larger. So it will be very hard for us to maintain, and also the system will lag. So it is advisable and it is mandatory that you are going to import the families, only families which you are going to use. So that is what, that is why most of the families are not present by default in the web. You have to download as per your requirement. Now let's create some grids. So why do we use grids? Grids are used for placement of columns, right? For the reference of placement of columns. The grids can also be accessed in our datum section. So you can see the levels are not highlighted in the datum section here. Why? Because as we discussed in the first class, levels can only be placed in the elevation. So as soon as I go to elevation, you can see levels are highlighted. So currently my requirement is I want to place columns. For that, let me place some grids. So grids can also be found in the datum section. Let me just select the grid. The grid can also be done with these tools. Let me select the first tool, that is line tool. Give your first point, give your second point, right? Then this is your one. Okay. Then after creating your first grid, you can actually go to the grid, pick line. Now, if your offset distance is of 3000 mm, let's say, give you a 3000 mm. So if you just come downwards or go upwards as per your requirement, the next grid will be automatically placed like this. And the same wise, select the grid, pick line again, give the distance like this here, and the distance offset will be 0, and place the line like this. Here you can see we have created until 5. Now, as we know, if one direction is numerical in grids, the other direction should be alphabetic. But the system is taking numerical also because it has started with numericals. Here we have to change. Let's say we are going to put A. We have changed to A. Now, this distance, if I want to make 4000 units of distance between each and every grid in the vertical direction, I have to go to architecture again, go for grid, pick line. The offset distance this time I'm going to give us 4000 mm. As soon as I go to this particular grid, I am going to have distance, and you can see the order is also correct. A, B, C, D, E. Now I can place the grids as per I've placed the grids. Now the remaining is I have to place the columns. So for the placement of columns again, in the architecture section, you have to go for the columns. If you select this drop down, you have two types of columns. The one is columns for structural elements, the other one is column for architectural elements. Since we are only placing the columns for the representation purpose only, the actual columns will be placed by the structural engineers. In architectural discipline, we are going to refer the structural engineers that if the column is placed in this particular location, it will be good for the aesthetics as well as the design. It's a reference. So we are going to place the architectural column. Select the architectural column. Then we have multiple types of columns here. Again, it is also customizable. If you go to edit time, you can give your its depth and width. After selection of your depth and width, you have to just snap it to the grid wherever you think your column is going to come, like this. It's going to place and snap like this. The orientation is turnable. Like say, for example, this is what a placed column is. And if you want to rotate it, in the modify tool set, you can just go for rotate. Select the center point and you can rotate it like this in any direction. And then you can just place it wherever you want. Like that, you can rotate your column. So these are placed in our plan views. If I go to any elevation, these columns are visible. So here, it's starting from ground floor to level 1. If I go to 3D also, let me just delete these things. If you want to delete, or there are multiple elements, right? You cannot pick point or pinpoint individual elements. So for those instances, you have to select everything. everything will be selected. Then you have to go for filter. Now my requirement is I have to delete only the doors and windows and walls. Check none. Then you have to select the elements which you have to delete. I want to delete walls, windows, and doors. All the others should be stay. Columns, grids, levels should stay. Only doors, walls, and windows should be deleted. So I'm going to select only those three things. So only those three are selected. All the rest are unselected. Now I can delete. So there is an option called filter. So if you want to filter out any element, go for the filter here. This will only appear when you select more than one element. So if I select only one element, it's not going to be there. Like say if I select the column as well as this particular plane or multiple planes, now the filter is visible, right? So if you want to select a particular element in group of selection, you can just go for filter. So now our columns are visible and also grids are visible. Here, like you can see the grids and the columns. Based on this, we can draw. If you want to draw a wall over here, go for wall architecture, just draw a wall anywhere like this. And then later stage also you can adjust. Just try to use your arrow key and say this is from ground floor to first floor. Right? Now, if you go to 3D, you can see you have drawn successfully a wall between your columns. You can change the type of view we are viewing from wireframe to shaded, hidden line. So the difference between wireframe and hidden line is if you're selecting wireframe, all the edges will be visible. But if you're selecting hidden lines, whatever the edges that are going to be visible in our view will only be visible. The other opposite sides will not be visible. If you're selecting realistic mode, the elements will be rendered as per its realistic properties. Likewise, you can select the whole wall and draw. Okay. So we have covered build, wall types, modification, doors, windows, grids, and column placements. Tomorrow, I'll download the types of certain types of doors with examples and some windows with examples so that we will know how to load a family and also how to place those doors as well. And then we'll continue to tomorrow's session. Okay, let me stop the recording.